Hey everybody, Ryan here from Greenfish, and today it's cold and wet outside, so I'm trapped at home and I've headed into the garage. There's an old saying that says when fishermen cannot go to sea, they mend their nets, and that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing today. And today I'm going to be doing tackle prep for the up and coming yellowtail season, and for that I'll be making some lures. So I thought I'd just share a little bit of what I do with you guys, and maybe it helps you guys catch a fish. Anyways, let's go. For yellowtail, we pretty much only troll a skirt like this or a Yamashita like this, and I'll show you how we rig those up. Make up these lures. All you need is a couple skirts. I'll go through some color choices now. Some barrel sinkers, which I normally saw off with the hacksaw, and then I just file them around to make this sort of bullet shaped head. It fits nicely inside. A couple hooks, swivels, sinkers, a light and an old hook, and a little lollipop straw. When it comes to your color choices of your skirts, it's really up to you, but you can pretty much divide your colors into two main categories. Your really bright colors that you use when it's dull and overcast, and your dark colors that you use when it's sunny and bright. So typical dark colors will be your blacks, your purples, your dark greens, and your bright colors would be things like your pinks and your greens and your yellows, and that will shine when it's overcast outside. And your dark colors, which is my favorite, will give you a silhouette when it is nice and bright. Typically for your Yamashitas, you get the different sizes. This has always been a Cape Point favorite, this sort of green and see-through. I also like my natural colors, you know, your golds and your transparents. Pink, for some reason, always a favorite of Cape Point. And then you need a small little insert that you'll use just inside, and I'll show you how we rig these up now. On the skirts like this that I'm pulling on my bungees, I like to use about a 1.2 millimeter line. It's just really nice and thick on the fingers when you're lifting, and it doesn't sort of crinkle cut off the fish shakes around a little bit. But main thing there is using a new line. On the Yamashitas I go slightly thinner. This is 52 kilo, 1.1 mil, just gives it a slightly better action through the water. But again, just a nice clear shiny line. You don't want a line that's sort of turning white. It just doesn't get the same effect. Gonna start with our main line. Typically I make this around a fathom long, and just a nice distance for lifting up the fish over the side. So I'm going to just start by putting a swivel on. Now, I'm not sure what knots you guys use, but I like to use this knot, call it a nail knot, which I use. I make it over the straw. It's just really easy to do then, and it always comes out beautifully and neat. Just go around a couple times on the straw, and then once you've laid it up, you just use the middle of the straw to push your line through, and just give it a little roll as you pull it tight, lube it up, and slide it down. Now that really gives you a nice clean and neat knot. Then I cut off this tag end, and that's a really useful knot that I trust for just about all my fishing. Next up, you want to take the color combo you've selected. This purple pink works quite nicely. I take an old hook and a lighter, and I heat this up till it kind of goes red hot. The reason I do this is so that the line doesn't tear through the skirt and your skirts just last a little longer. So I just melt a little hole through the skirt. It kind of goes through very easily. That stops the line tearing when you are using it at sea. So I just thread them through. 1, 2, and it's really as easy as that. Got your 2 skirts hanging on. I like to put a little bead, any sort of rubber or plastic bead will do, and I like that jammed right up on the inside there, and it just stops the line from tearing the skirts, and your skirts last a whole lot longer. After you've put your bead on, you'll put your little weight. I use different sizes depending on where in the spread I want it to sit, and if I want it to skip a little bit more, be slightly subsurface. Once you've got your weight there, you take your hook, and again with a little straw you make your trusty nail knot. And really, this is my go-to knot. I only kind of ever use 2 knots, but this is definitely one of my go-tos. So wrap it around about 5 times, and then just send it through the little hole. This just keeps it nice and neat. And you can see, so easy. You can then slide it down and it will pull tight. And again, take that tag end off. So it is sinker, it is the little bead which is hiding there, then it is your first skirt. Look, this is just the way I do it. I know there's guys that do it differently, and I'm sure they catch way more fish than us, but this is what I've been doing and it works for me. Then I put my second skirt over. I normally just give it a shake and a roll as I'm going, make sure all the tassels are there, and pull it up nice and snug. Now you see that hook is just slightly behind the last ones. I like it a little bit shorter, so just trim off the excess, and that is as good as it gets. Really chuffed with that result. And you can just kind of store these by coiling this up nice and evenly. I kind of use the shape that the line naturally falls in, and I leave it kind of as loose as I can, and you can put that in your tackle box ready to go. For the Yamashita, pretty much the same story. I'm using a slightly thinner line. This is a 1.1 mil. The reason I like this, just gives a slightly better action on this skirt, which is a little bit more delicate. So exactly the same process. Swivel on the one end. And again, sort of just about a fathom long, and just seems to be a nice distance that works really well. So again, I don't want to let it tear, so I just heat up a hook with a lighter and just push that through. Makes that little hole. I'll do the same for this one. Before we thread it through. And that just really stops the tearing and makes your lures last a whole lot longer. This one's slightly different. We're going to do the skirt, then the bead. We're going to use a different type of sinker, slightly smaller barrel sinker. I don't like the sinker to go directly on my knot. It can break, and we want this to line up with the end of the the skirt. So I just normally measure the distance and I can kind of see, right, the hook, the bead and the skirt is all going to make the right distance so that my hook doesn't stick out too far. And to stop the sinker banging directly on my knot, I'll have the skirt first. And then we do the same hook with the same trusty knot. The reason we use this little inner skirt is just to give it a little bit more action. And I like to pull this right down onto the knot. Sinker, skirt, lure. And now that, my friend, is ready to catch any yellowtail of Cape Point. None of them will be able to resist that. And beautiful lure, swims through the water very naturally and super effective. Single hook, also nice and safe versus the trebles that often comes on your deep diving lures where you've got two sets of trebles. This one, you can grab the line at your swivel, slide your hand down to the hook and then lift the fish into the boat. You've got a lot of control. So everybody, there are our two lures, our skirt ready to roll and our Yamashita. And I'd say out of all the yellowtail I've caught off Cape Point, with these two lures, it's probably been 95% of our success rate. So hope this has helped you guys. Happy fishing, go out there and have fun.